This is Derailed!
Oh, hello. Welcome to Derailed, episode 3. Derailed is a podcast where we play single session, super simple role-playing games. The only predefined thing about this is players always find themselves in a rail car to begin. I'm Brandon. I'll be the GM and host today. Next to me is Matt.
Hello.
And remotely joining us is Grant from Toronto.
Hello.
From the far-off internet comes Grant.
Grant man. Today we're using Roll for Your Shoes as our rule set. It's incredibly simple, so we're just going to explain it as we go along. If you want to read up on them, the rules, you can go to Stack Exchange or GitHub and just search for Roll for Your Shoes. Or you can go to our website, gamesign.net, and we have them up there as well. So without further ado, Winebot 5000, you find yourself in a rail car.
Hello, I am Winebot 5000. Beep boop. I will be reprising my role as Winebot 5000, who ended our last campaign. I forget, did he become the King of France?
He was the King of France.
By slaying Louis the whatever it was in
1750.
1750, I think it was, we decided. Yes, right at the onset of the French Revolution. So,
Yes.
Winebot began his humble life as a jam dispensing robot, but he truly found his calling when he was transported back to the early 18th century France, and then filled with wine, and then overthrew a dictatorship. Mm-hmm. That's how he really came into his own. Unfortunately for Winebot, he then became the very aristocracy that was hunted down and purged as the French Revolution continued throughout the 18th century up to about 1790, I think.
So wait, they just continued to revolt even though he was the head of the revolt. He took over, and then they're like, "We're just going to continue revolting."
Yeah, unsurprisingly, Winebot, for all of his wine and/or jam expertise, did not really have a lot of experience running countries, so they realized he was pretty rubbish quite early on, and eventually deposed him after 60 or 70 years of reigning as King of France. He has been stuffed into an armoire and sold off as part of an estate sale. And just now he's finally managed to wedge the door open to climb back out. So he will climb out of an old, crickety, dusty armoire into a rail car.
So last time he had some interesting appendages. Has he replaced those to be a little bit more normal?
Oh yeah, so last time when he finished out, he had legs that were powered by
Chickens?
living chickens.
Yeah, living chickens.
Winebot 5000 had a dark spell to his past. Mm-hmm. He had grafted living chickens into broomsticks, I think, and that was his legs.
Yeah.
And then he ran afoul of some farming equipment and had attached giant
Threshers.
hay threshers for his giant awful robot hands. He then briefly spent a period as a guillotine, but didn't actually manage to kill anyone because he was useless.
Yeah.
So yes, during his tenure as King of France, he would have, of course, replaced this. Mm-hmm. He has upgraded from chickens to stoats, which are kind of like a ferret. That is now what's powering his leg muscles. They long since starved in the confines of the armoire. So he just has two functionless legs with lifeless stoats, which are now mostly skeletons and bits of fur dragging along with him. His arms were replaced by those fancy looking stick things you see priests and stuff carry for big ceremonies?
Okay, yeah.
He thought those looked very fancy, so he just had the royal armor smith make him up some useless limbs of bits of gold trapping and like spheres and stuff on sticks with crosses and paintings of Jesus as they did at the time. So they don't really do anything, but they look incredibly fancy. They might be expensive, but they're probably just gold leaf on top of wood. So he's gonna come creak and bust his way out of the armoire and flop down onto the otherwise stuffed and quiet rail car full of old relics and crates under sheets and old dishes and vases and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. The train car is in motion. It's gently rocking as if traveling on a rail. It appears to be mostly dark outside, and the only thing to be heard is the whooshing of the wind and the clack of the rails beneath it. So the first thing Winebot is going to attempt to do, as he is now rebirthed alive again into the world after hundreds of years of imprisonment, is he's going to attempt to govern and speak to the people of the railcar. So he delivers a royal address, a decree that maybe someone should find him some functioning legs. He delivers this decree to an empty railcar and rolls a 4 in an attempt to do so.
Okay, so this is a do anything skill because he
This is
doesn't
a
have
do
any.
anything skill. No, his skills. By the way, Winebot 5000 skills. What he ended up, what carried him to being king of France was level 2 limbless driving,
Yeah.
level 2 smashing and entering, and inciting the feeble-minded, which is not nearly as awful as it sounds. He used it to cause a stampede in the barns.
Oh, right.
So should I roll 2 dice for inciting the feeble minds of these boxes and crates?
Sure.
Sure, I do. I roll another die, so 4
you
plus
roll-
1, that's 5.
5.
Is 5 enough to incite the crates to take up my call and elevate me back to king again?
No, because they're inanimate objects.
Oh, Winebot will take his failure XP for failing.
I like that strategy. Just pick something that's so horribly impossible as the first action that you get an XP
So I just
point.
immediately get an XP point. I can boost myself immediately. I didn't even mean to do that, but that's awesome. So with a dejected beep boop, Winebot 5000 will end his first turn in the last 100 years.
Okay.
Or so.
I'm gonna use that in the future. If I don't have a good action, I'm just gonna take a horrible action.
Do what the fuck ever. Like,
Okay, so you come crashing out of this thing and you're like, subjects, please get me more wine, and then it's just boxes.
Yeah.
And nothing happens except that someone else in the rail car stirs from all the commotion. And that would be Grant?
We have introducing Gilbert Price, or Gilbert.
Gilbert. I like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I've gone French again here.
That is a strong French name, beep boop.
I apologize. Anyways, so Gilbert, or we could just call him Gil for short. I think. Are we okay with that? So he's a hockey player. He plays for a middling league as a team captain, and he has aspirations though. He hopes to someday play for the Canadian Olympic team and win bronze. So
tell us how you really feel about that.
He's dressed up fully in his gear because the last thing that he remembers is he was at a hockey practice. So he's still wearing everything, but also retrieved his bag of normal clothes that you wear the rest of the time in Canada. So he has like boots and furs and like skulls because as you know, Canada's a frozen wasteland 10 months of the year.
Wow. I didn't know Toronto was so hardcore.
And also has a hockey stick because obviously he does.
Right.
And was roused, though not inspired, by Winebot's recent speech. Roused, it really is, so he's awake now.
Yeah.
And, is evaluating the situation, which is the rail car that appears to be in motion. A wine dispensing robot that may be either a tyrannical despot or a gentle and inspiring leader.
He really does flip-flop a lot.
Yeah,
Winebot
he
5000 does.
So coming to and regaining consciousness, the first thing that Gilbert decides to do is he needs to change his clothes and get into something that befits the situation a little more. I mean, hockey pads lend one some durability. So the skill that I want to exercise here is get changed.
At level 1.
Yes.
You realize if you fail at this, Brandon is going to make something hilarious happen.
Yeah, I'm gonna say 2+ so that you still have room for failure at this. I'm not sure what that's gonna mean.
Okay, so getting changed into some normal clothes. Rolling here, and just by the wire, I have a 2.
Okay, so you change into some very typical flannel and flannel-lined jeans and flannel-lined socks and work boots. And you pull an elk skull over your head that's also flannel-lined.
I'm just trying to think of how you could actually wear a skull, and I can't think of any way that seems comfortable.
No. Well, that's why you line it with flannel, so
I
it's
guess so,
padded.
yeah.
So you're all changed.
My subjects are looking dapper, beep boop.
Much more comfortable.
Much more.
I mean, all the hockey padding and everything. I mean, that's all still available. It's all still on hand if we suddenly find ourselves in a situation
In a combat situation.
where improved padding is needed.
I'm gonna say the car just continues to go on as before. The wind howls. There's a it's not very well insulated, so there's a chill that goes through the room as it trundles along, but nothing else happens. So back over to Winebot.
Okay. Winebot 5000 is finding this situation most unappealing. Not only is he running drastically low on wine, but there are no servants bringing him wine, and Winebot 5000 has become accustomed to living at a certain level of comfort. Because his wine reservoirs are dangerously empty and probably also turned to vinegar as they've been oxidizing for 150 years in an armoire, he's gonna get the fuck out of here. So Winebot is going to go into the direction he thinks is probably towards the front of the rail car, and he is going to use his level 2 skill, smashing and entering, to enter the outside of this rail car.
Enter the outside of the rail car.
Yes,
All
that is what he's doing.
All right.
I rolled a 5.
I don't know. Let's describe the rail car a little bit. Like, so you said he ruled for 60-ish years. That puts it at 1810. Then he's been locked up for about 100. So we're in like the early 1900s.
Early 1900s, yes.
Okay, so it's not an amazingly sturdy car, right? But it's probably like solid wood.
Yeah, function over form. It's all full of dusty antiques. So this is like someone's collection or an old, like I said, an estate sale. It's been shipped across the country.
So I'm gonna say that's kind of hard to smash your way out of the front. So I'm gonna say you failed, but you did do some damage because you do have these massive staffs and stuff. So basically, like, you smashed some boards. You didn't get fully out, but some of the boards are smashed. You can see outside. If you want to describe anything that you see out there, go ahead.
We are, in fact, on the back of a train, as I had expected, alongside several other cars, like box cars, basically, that have been loaded onto a flatbed of similar make and style. Ahead of me, I can see what appears to be a commuter car in the same train. It is festive and jolly, and there are people making merry.
Okay. Gilbert.
So, indeed, we're in motion, and there's a passenger car ahead, and as we're moving along, it's dark outside because it's evening, although a bright light suddenly sweeps across the one side of the car, and we hear helicopter sounds along with some loudspeakers, where a very angry sounding SWAT operative is shouting for everybody who's inside the train to stop whatever they're doing, stand still, and put their hands on their heads, because there was a murder reported recently, a very savage beating with a hockey stick. And it was reported that the perpetrator fled via train.
I like how you're creating problems for yourself.
So because this happens to be a train with a lot of people on it, authorities are like, okay, well, we need to button down all the rails in this region and hopefully catch the killer before he makes good his escape. So we're being shouted at to stop, stand still, and put our hands on our heads. And Gilbert, realizing just how bad this will look for him, being that he's in possession of a hockey stick, decides to wave his hands at the window. Like, he approaches the window, waves his hands, animatedly, and is trying to get the attention of the police car. The police helicopter. So he's waving his hands around, and I guess he's trying to exercise the skill draw attention to yourself.
Which is still under do anything, right?
Which I would class under do anything. Really.
Yeah.
So I'll roll here, but let me know what my parameters are.
You could say you're getting changed into someone who is recognized by the police. Sorry, go ahead.
It's still not level 1. We only need to stretch things when we're trying to roll extra dice here, guys.
That's right. Good point.
Okay,
so I roll, and I got a 6.
Nice. Okay, so in rolling a 6, you get to add another skill related to what you're just doing at level 2.
So I'm gonna bring out the new skill, draw attention very efficiently. So that can apply to crowds, that can apply to individuals, just whatever. I mean, really, it's kind of a distraction skill, I guess, but just drawing attention to himself.
You rolled a 6. I was gonna say it was like a 3 or 4 plus, because the spotlight's sweeping back and forth along the train, and they're really just looking at the passenger car for the most part. But as it sweeps across, you're waving your arms, and the police in the helicopter notice you, and because you're not in the passenger car, you're in a boxcar. They feel like that's very suspicious. So you see the helicopter like tilt off at a sharp angle and fly up to the front of the train and signal the conductor to start slowing down. So you feel the brakes on the train go on, and the train starts to decelerate. So Winebot, how do you feel about this?
Winebot is going to look at the surrounding countryside, and I'm not sure what I want to be here, so I'm going to roll the dice randomly to see what happens. I'm going to say if it's in the higher than 4, we're in the middle of a city. If it's lower than 4, we're in the middle of the woods. And I rolled a 5, so we are just pulling up to the outskirts of a city. Hard to tell what city. I guess we've established that there are helicopters, and there is a SWAT team, which presumably means somewhere in North America, because I don't know if they have SWAT teams over in Europe.
Yeah.
Or if they do, they're called something
Armed.
You know,
or they're gendarme.
Oh, yeah.
France.
Pikemen,
Right.
maybe, something like that. I don't know. All right, so since it is SWAT team, I am assuming we're in America. So we are pulling into Montreal. No, that's a Canadian city. I've been in Canada for too long. I'm sorry. We are pulling into Minneapolis, Minnesota. So, how does this affect Winebot? Winebot sees that his subject, his only subject, the only subject in his retinue, is trying to get the attention of the police. So clearly this is something important that needs to be done. So he's going to do everything in his King of France-ly power to make this happen. He is going to go... Okay, first of all, he's going to shove his way out through the rest of the rail car, having battered it up to this point that he can just push on through. Mm-hmm. And he's going to go up and enter the car ahead of him, full of merriment and loudspeakers and such like that.
Okay.
So he's going to bust open the car. Do I have anything? Ooh, I haven't studied the feeble-minded.
Mm-hmm. We can say they're kind of drunk, right?
We can say, yeah,
maybe they are a little feeble-minded.
People in the midst of revelry.
Yeah.
Okay, he's going to go busting into this car, which is full of, like, you know, people and girls in flapper skirts and men in suits with bowler caps and such like that, smoking cigarettes and drinking gin, having a good old hootenanny and a kick-up. He's going to address the people. People of the rail car, I am Winebot 5000 and the rightful heir to the Kingdom of France. Bring me wine! And he's going to roll level 2, inciting the feeble-minded. I rolled a 7.
Sure. Some of them are like, yeah, join the party!
Awesome. So, a group of dandy-looking gentlemen grab a giant carafe of wine and pour it all down Winebot's gullet.
Nice.
Winebot is energized and invigorated by the presence of wine.
But
Now-
is he disappointed in the quality of the wine? Because he is French.
Oh, that's right. We're not drinking French wine anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, he is initially invigorated, but then immediately enraged.
I'm gonna roll to see the quality of the wine that
Okay.
in Minneapolis. Oh, it's actually really good wine.
Oh wow. Okay, we're on a very fancy car. Okay.
Yeah,
So
so he's impressed by the
Winebot.
Sorry, I rolled a 6.
Winebot does not turn back into Murderbot 5000.
He does not set the car on fire. He does not trample.
Instead,
peasants.
he is here to party. All right, now full of wine and vim and vigor, Winebot is going to go charging up towards the front of the train, continuing on to where the SWAT team are signaling the driver to slow down. He's going to go exit out of the dancing dandy car and go charging up next. Gilbert, back to you.
So the situation is evolving. I think we can say, because Gilbert was not expecting to find himself on a rail car in the first place, let alone one where a party was taking place. I mean, he's French, but he's not like authentic French. Like he's Northern Ontario, Hicksville French.
Uh-huh.
Which, I mean, lends him skill and background as a hockey player, but not a whole lot in the way of like other narrative features here. So kind of elbows his way through the party, in pursuit of, right, and with the train slowing, I mean that causes some problems, just because I mean the train is coming up to a station in order to stop. I mean, like safe, we got to talk about safety here, right? You don't just stop the train.
Right. Very important. Yeah.
And some of the rail ties on this particular track had been undergoing maintenance recently, so that causes a lot of like bumping and rickety and like shaking and rattling of the rail car as it comes to a halt. We don't know if it was just negligence or if it was sabotage or whatever. But anyways, the train is rocked violently back and forth, and Gilbert needs to keep his balance so that he can continue following his king, Winebot, up to the front of the car where they can then meet the SWAT team. So with the rail car shaking violently back and forth, Gilbert needs to brace himself so that he can not fall over on his face and continue the pursuit of getting to the front of the car. So I guess bracing is the skill that I want to do here. Class
So
number do anything.
He is a hockey player, so he should have pretty good balance. So I'll say you get a 3+ to not fall over, considering it's shaking violently, and he's not exactly a sailor or something, so he's not used to that kind of thing, but he's at least an athlete.
It's abrupt too. It's not like we were expecting the train to start shaking, right? So, so we're rolling, and luck's on my side today. We got a 5. So Gilbert is not thrown violently back and forth along with the movement of the train, and catches up quickly to Winebot, and they make it to the front car of the train.
Okay. So as you were saying, there was rail maintenance going on. So I'm gonna roll to see what kind of quality of that rail maintenance there was.
Uh-huh.
So I rolled a 5 on 2 dice. So it was not particularly great, which is fantastic, because it means we get to derail the train.
We're finally gonna actually derail a train on Derailed.
Oh, I have a feeling that's gonna happen a lot, actually.
Probably so.
We're gonna say it's like a minor derailment right as you were coming in, so you were only going like a few miles an hour, but it's enough to just like the passenger car and stuff digs into the gravel and stuff, and everybody in the car falls over. There's wine glasses and wine bottles smashing on everyone. Several of their other cars kind of pile up due to the sudden deceleration of this car, and then it all just kind of comes to a rest, and you see the police helicopter. Did they even have helicopters in 1910?
Oh, certainly not. They had those weird Wright Brothers screw things that didn't actually work.
We're just gonna ignore that for now. So you see the police helicopter landing where the train was supposed to stop, and then the police are running down the tracks to see what just happened, because it's already kind of suspicious, right? So now they're like, oh, now that we told the train to stop, and all of a sudden it just derailed for no reason. So, so back to Winebot, who's just been thrown to the ground after having some nice wine.
Okay, Winebot's gonna roll to see how much of his wine spills out. I'll say lower numbers is less, higher numbers is more. Rolling 1 die. Oh, he spilled all his wine. All right, so
Party foul.
Winebot, who had just gotten his fill of wine, his internal wine reservoir, which used to be a jam reservoir and now is a wine reservoir. It's never been washed. It smells terrible. Was completely full. He had just turned around to call out to his loyal subject, Gilbert. Come forward to victory, beep boop, crash, smash, grinding, squeal, things being thrown around. He is flung forward at an awkward angle, hits the back of the engine car, and just splatters wine all over the place. This troubles Winebot so greatly because he remembers how things went. He starts having flashbacks of the French Revolution, where there were, I believe, a lot to deal with chickens, and there was a lot of peasants and an Italian guy in a Ferrari running down French.
A Belgian in a
Ferrari.
Belgian in a Lamborghini.
In a Lamborghini.
Yes.
I could have been wronger about that. Running down French gendarmes in the street, and the blood and the farm animals, and Winebot loses his goddamn mind. He can only think of how desperately he needs to keep the police away from his new friend. So he's going to grab wine bottles and just start winging them like crazy at the approaching police officers, who I'm sure are approaching with guns, and he's just flipping out and throwing bottles at them. So I'm going to roll 1 die for do anything for, what's a term for wine? Gustatorial bombardment. And I rolled a 3.
I'm gonna say. I mean, you didn't make Molotov cocktails, right? You're
No,
just lobbing.
I'm just winging wine bottles.
Okay.
Beep boop.
I'm gonna say you throw 3 or 4 of them, and one of them connects with a police officer. The rest of them just smash on the gravel, and the one that hits him in the shoulder, and he's like, "What the hell?" And then another one spots you and goes, "What the hell is that thing?"
Winebot is not particularly regal looking at this moment, nor is he very pleasing to look at, covered in leaking wine and old jam. There are dead stoats hanging from his lower torso. Gold leaf is everywhere. I'm also going to spend one of my XP points because I really like the term of the skill gustatorial bombardment.
If I can just second that.
Awesome. Winebot now obtains skill level 2 gustatorial bombardment.
That might not be the most useful skill later. But we'll see. You never know. Political musical theater turned out to be really useful.
Yeah, right? You wouldn't believe it.
As it turns out.
As it turns out. So you see your fearless leader go screaming off towards the police, lobbing wine bottles.
With accuracy that leaves something to be desired.
Yeah.
So Gilbert realizes, so shit's bad, and has kind of got real at this point, because, I mean, he doesn't 100% know, what Winebot's motivations are, but he knows that, this can't be an insignificant thing.
Yeah, he's very... It's very clear that Winebot is unhappy about the police coming towards him for some reason.
Right. So, understanding that the commotion that's already kind of taken place is of some use, and the party guests who are covered in their own wine and food, and there's probably there's bits of broken glass too, because they had really nice crystal wine glasses, and so a few guests have kind of impaled each other. I mean, not seriously, but enough that there's a bit of blood going on too. Some injuries, where before the derailment the police were just intending to interrogate and canvass and ask some serious questions to the party attendees and see if maybe the murderer was masquerading as one of them. Because remember, the entire reason that the police chase started in the first place is because there's a loose hockey stick murderer somewhere on the rail network, and Gilbert happens to be a hockey player in possession of a hockey stick. It's this looks like a really bad circumstantial case is going to be mounting against him soon. So he realizes that the party guests can be of some use in this situation, and there's already some craziness going on because of the wine throwing robot. So he decides to use his draw attention to self skill, which we've got at level 2, to get the party guests to get up, recover from their recent shaking about from the unstable rails in the rail car, and get them to charge forward in order to obscure his his existence, his presence, because he has all of his gear with him still. He's got the pads, he's got the stick and everything. So I'm gonna roll my so I roll 2 dice here because I've got a level 2 draw attention to self skill.
Right. So you're basically being like, oh, everybody, you should be okay. Anybody with injuries, like, let me know. But everybody exit the train, right?
Right. Like we're trying to spur these people into scattering in all directions and evacuating the train. Which, I mean, so the car that they're in, because it's the party car, right, is still upright, although it's disjointed, like on the rails. Right. But it's still like more or less like those people are okay. Like, you know, there aren't any serious injuries there. So
it's sort of just like an abrupt stop. Right.
Yeah. So he's basically kind of pretending a bit like he's like a rail safety official and wants to get people's attention and get them to evacuate the train car.
Okay, so I'm gonna say that's I'll say that's like a 4+.
Okay. So I'm rolling my 2 here.
Yep.
And I got, oh man, I mean, we were close this time. So I got a 5 on 2 dice.
So I'm gonna say, so you are successful, but you weren't like incredibly successful. You could have been a lot more successful than that. So I'm gonna say you get the people to come off the car, but because you've drawn attention to yourself, some of them are actually looking to you for some sort of leadership. So they think that you're in charge of something, like you were a safety person on the train. So they're actually just standing around you instead of scattering like you wanted. And obviously the police are continuing to come, but they're being a lot more cautious now that one of them's been pelted by a wine bottle. So they're still like a few hundred yards away. Well, I guess it's like 100 yards away because you're not going to be lobbing those wine bottles that far. You've created a little bit of a distraction because there's some people stumbling away from the train and stuff, but not necessarily as much as you would have wanted. I'm going to say they're all going to draw their little revolvers, right? Because it's 1900.
So they have helicopters, but they still have like...
Is it 1910 or 1911? Do they have the 1911 yet? Or are they just running with those like dinky little...
I don't know, is the 1911 a gun? Is that a specific gun? 1911 like...
Yeah, it's the M1911 pistol.
Oh yeah,
it's like the most generic...
You think of a pistol shape, and that's the shape of the pistol. Okay, sure. We'll say it's 1911.
They used it in the military for like 80 years or whatever. And so they're all going to pull out their M1911s, and I'm going to say there's 5 of them. So 3 of them are going to move to the opposite side of the tracks that Winebot was on to try to use the train as cover. So they're going to try to flank him, and then the other 2 are going to come straight at him, but they're guns drawn. They're much more like they're crouched down. They're much more alert. And then over to Winebot, who's been triggered.
Yeah, Winebot's got a pretty short fuse for a robot.
Mm-hmm.
But now what has caught Winebot's attention is the presence of people lacking in strong leadership. People who clearly need to be told what to do and why they need to be doing it and what to ignore, like the fact that the train is derailed. So Winebot is going to climb up on top of the train and attempt to address all the people of the train yet again. First they were his party mates as they assisted him in refilling his coffers with wine, but now it is his turn to do something for them. He is going to lead them in glorious revolution against their oppressors. So he's going to climb up on top of the train car, and with his best and strongest beat boop, he's going to use level 2, Incite the Feeble-Minded, to try and rally the people. Winebot desperately needs to refill himself with wine, and he can't do that while he's stuck here. So he's going to use Incite the Feeble-Minded to rally the partying train people into fighting alongside him against the evil tyranny of the of the police. And he rolls
2 ones.
A double 1. Snake eyes. How does this pan out for Winebot? Oh, gracious and merciful DM.
So the partygoers were in Minneapolis, let's be fair.
Right.
They were like, fuck you, Frenchie, this is America. We don't take orders from you. That was a bad Minnesota accent. That was like a southern accent, but
beep boop.
So same idea as they're like, no, this is America.
Minnesota.
We're independent.
Right. We're in Minnesota.
Yeah, Minnesota. We pull ourselves up by our bootstraps. We don't listen to no Frenchie.
Oh, poor Winebot.
So that basically backfired. So I feel like in that situation they're gonna try to detain you for the police.
Everyone's just like, we just got in a train crash, and now you're trying to tell us to fight the police, and why were you throwing bottles on us a second ago? And also, what are you?
Yeah, and then, hey there, you don't have any legs. You should be easy to detain here.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so do you have any combat skills?
Gustatorial bombardment.
I mean, okay, so because there are so many of them, I'm going to roll 2 dice, and they're going to try to pin you to the ground.
Okay, I'll roll.
So it'll be a contested roll, yeah.
Do anything to roll against. I rolled a 5.
I rolled a 6 and a 4, so...
Okay, so that's more than 5.
Yeah, so they pin you to the ground, and they're signaling the police that they've got you.
Beep boop.
Beep boop. All right. Gilbert sees this, and what does he do?
Well, Gilbert is alarmed that his new friend and monarch, to whom he's, I guess, kind of involuntarily sworn allegiance to, just throughout the development of these recent events, sees that this is no good. And I mean, I think we can agree that just having a friend who's also a king, like, that's just, you'd want that in your back pocket in case shit really got bad. I mean, he's not the king of anything right now, it appears.
In case you remember the fact that you murdered somebody with a hockey stick and you need a friend.
is suspected of being the murderer, right? Like, you know, he's not, but it just, the circumstances, like, it looks bad. So seeing that his friend and leader and monarch and king and all the rest of it is being detained and restrained by the crowd of uninspired party guests, right? He decides to spring into action. So he's got his gear with him. He breaks out the hockey stick, fully understanding the risk of being seen with one, and wants to use his physical strength and his hockey skills to try and get the crowd off of his friend Winebot and liberate him so that he can well, maybe not make any speeches right away, but just so that we can get him wrested from the crowd's control and possibly flee the approaching authorities who are on the other side of the train. So I think I need to roll a do anything for this.
Mm-hmm. So it'll be a contested roll as well.
Trying to get the crowd of, I mean, it's not a huge crowd, right? Because some people did actually disperse.
Yeah, I'm going to say like 3 people went over and pinned him to the ground.
Like 3-4 people, right? It's like, it's not a lot of people, but it's a couple of people. So approaches them, a hockey stick in hand, to pry them from his friend and leader. So I'm going to roll here, and I've got a 5.
Okay, I rolled a 6, a 2, and a 1. So the 2 and the 1, you just club right in the face and knock them off. And then the 6, you miss, basically. Like, they dodge out of the way. But you do successfully club 2 of them off of him. So you're left with the one person still, like, kind of crouched there, trying to pin him down, but is also off balance because they had to dodge this hockey stick that came from nowhere.
I mean, there wasn't enough time to change into the padding and be ready for a real fight. So I think this is kind of it could have come out worse, right? I mean, like 2 out of 3 is not bad. I think Winebot can probably agree that we've made progress here.
Winebot's wine reservoir, which takes the place for his heart, swells 3 times to see his loyal subject fighting for him. He experiences a resurgence of confidence, which he really doesn't need.
Yeah, he's not lacking. I mean, he's a king, right?
No.
So,
Right.
a deposed king, but nonetheless.
Now twice deposed.
So having successfully swatted off 2 of the of the attackers, there's a third one, which, I mean, I guess I'm out of actions now, so really Gilbert wants to find a way to get this third person off of Winebot. That way they can continue with their well, I mean, I'm not sure. I don't know if we've decided if we want to confront the authorities or flee. We haven't really discussed that. There hasn't been a lot of time. right?
Not really.
Things kind of moved quickly.
Yeah, Winebot hasn't even properly cleared it within his own reasoning whether or not you actually are the hockey stick wielding murderer.
Right, and I mean, Gilbert knows he's not, but nobody else knows that he's not, right? So he'll be a suspect to everyone, and I mean, news has spread quickly of the hockey stick savage beating murder due to, I mean, I guess they had radio? They would have had radio back then.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So the wires, and I don't know,
The wires,
beacons,
yeah.
I mean,
Came in on the clacks earlier today.
And telephones, I guess, would they be? When was the phone invented?
They had maybe headphones.
It definitely had telegrams.
Yeah.
They would have, yeah. Okay, so the phone was invented March 10th, 1876. I guess the modern.
Okay, that sounds
telephone.
about right. Yeah.
So I mean, we're in the 19 whatevers, so we're clearly past that. So that's why the authorities closed the news so fast on all outgoing trains in the region.
Mm-hmm.
So where are we at now? So there's one guy left. Winebot, I guess, will have some opportunity to maybe get rest his freedom back from this one attacker, and yeah, that's it for Gilbert's contribution to freeing his newly sworn allegiance to King.
Okay, so out of nowhere behind you, you hear halt. Really, I wanted something more German than that. Stop! And back there, you see three big guys all carrying hockey sticks, and because they're German, apparently they're better than Canadians at hockey.
Oh shit!
Throwing some shade.
Topical bird.
Okay, so there's like a line of them back towards the car, and they've clearly aligned themselves against you two, and so then it's over to Winebot.
Oh shit! So wait, German hockey players just showed up as well,
Yeah,
and they're against us.
yeah, they're like, no man.
Shit.
I mean, Germany.
Well, they would have said 9, right? 9.
Mon Dieu, Winebot is horribly distressed by this. Is the one peasant is the one merrymaker from the drill car still piling on top of Winebot?
Yes, but he's off balance, so he's still trying to pin you down, but he's just dodged a hockey stick.
Okay, well, first thing I have to do is get him off of me. So I guess I'm gonna have to roll to.
I mean, the gustatorial bombardment's not a bad skill, but
We did establish
low
that you
on
had like
wine,
sprinkler-like abilities with your wine, so you could.
But I lost all my wine
Oh.
when I smashed into the train car. Okay, no, it's okay. Winebot's got a thing he can do for this. Now that Winebot's patriotic dander is up, and he realizes that his true countrymen are in peril, not just by these hedonistic Americans, but by the awful threat of the Germans. What were they doing in 1750? I don't even know. Probably nothing.
Trying to be the Holy Roman Empire, which is a joke.
Either way, he probably doesn't care. Being French, he doesn't care much for anybody else, especially not the Germans. So he's going to use smashing and entering to enter the torso of the merrymaker who is currently atop him. He's going to roll 2 dice for that one.
Whoa.
I roll a 10.
Nice.
So
I'm gonna say, and considering you have these like weird gold staffs, you just you just plow both of them right into the middle of his chest cavity and just pull them apart, and there's just blood spraying everywhere.
my God,
Like the good old days when we took France.
Winebot will then remember when he was are you baptized by the Catholic Church, or he would be converted by the Catholic Church when he became King of France? He would have been like
Ordained
anointed,
or
ordained.
whatever.
There you go. When he was ordained, he had to drink some wine. And they told him it was the blood of Christ. So Winebot is just going to upend this guy's torso and drink all of his blood.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like he's being sprayed by blood, so then it's all going inside of him and into his reserves, and now he's going to be Bloodbot 5000.
Winebot has evolved into Bloodbot 5000.
Oh my God.
Oh God.
Why can't we keep this character forever?
I think he has an expiration date. I think it is when he starts drinking human blood that he has expired.
Oh man.
Okay, Bloodbot 5000 ends his turn with a furious beep boop. And the viscera spraying all over.
Right, Gilbert.
This is not a PG-13 rated
No.
episode.
No, it is not.
I don't think any
We're
of
going
them
to need
are.
an age filter before we put this one up. So realizing that not only is his friend a king, but is in possession of some very useful skills, depending on... I mean, like, this is a situational thing, obviously. Like, smash and enter, I guess you can use on a variety of things.
Including torsos.
We didn't really establish a limit on that skill, did we? His friend is a king and also a savage murderer when the situation calls for it.
This may be why Winebot was deposed in the first place.
Right. Well, and we're already like so the authorities are in pursuit
Yeah.
of a murderer.
And suddenly
who was
now
in
there's
possession of
another
a hockey
murder, which
stick,
is not
so-
really helping you out.
Right, but I mean, we know we're innocent of the first crime. Anyway, so Gilbert realizes that although his friend has freed himself using his unique skills, this isn't a sustainable way of going about things. And really, his friend, what does his friend need? Right? What does Winebot need? The clue is kind of in the name, right? He needs wine, and
Yes.
knowing that there was a party where wine was being consumed, but then there was also an accident which destroyed many of the party things. Right? You know, I mean that rail car is like it's disjointed,
Right.
hanging on the rail as we
Yes.
discussed earlier. So Gilbert feels, you know, although there's some risk because the police are on the other side of the car, to go back into the party rail car, which isn't that far, right?
Right, but there
And
are
actually
3 German hockey players, and German hockey players are apparently better than Canadian hockey players, so...
But well, at hockey, right?
Not fighting with hockey sticks?
Not a dismemberment.
Okay.
So hastily, you know, with not much time to spare, Gilbert decides to dart back into the party car, to search for some wine to give to the king. I'm not really sure how Winebot would actually incorporate the wine into his reserves and kind of like replenish and reboot. I mean, I'm assuming there's a
He
port
just kind of drinks
or
it, yeah.
something.
He just like tips his head back
Okay.
like a Pez dispenser and you just kind of pour it down.
Right. So the point is, I need to search for the wine, right? So I'm gonna roll a do anything for searching for some intact, unopened, unspilled bottles of wine, because I mean, there's a party people are drinking. There's an accident, some bottles are smashed. So maybe there's some, right? Maybe there's a bottle or two. I mean,
I'll say
again,
5
we
plus,
have
yeah.
we also have an established capacity
Yeah.
for Winebot. But I'm assuming like at least one good
Yeah.
bottle of wine would get us somewhere.
Winebot's thirst is bottomless.
Okay. But can also be satiated at least a little bit. Right?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, I want to roll to do anything for search, and so Brandon, I need to know what are my chances here
Say
of
it's a
finding some intact bottles of wine in a rail car where there was a party
Right.
and also an accident.
I'm gonna say it's a 5 plus.
So let's give it a try. Oh, and we got a 6.
Nice.
This
Holy
time.
shit.
So you're very
We
good
got
at
a
searching
6.
through things. I'm gonna say you found not only did you find some wine, but you found like a little carrier for it, so you can get like 4 bottles of wine in this carrier to easily carry it back to Winebot. And you
So
get a new
that's-
skill because you rolled a 6 in some sort of search capacity.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like search, investigate. I don't know. I mean, like searching in things. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how to define it any further. We're just gonna call it search. Anyways, so he needs to. He throws a couple of bottles, right? You know, like we've got this carrying thing, so I can get 4 or 5 bottles in there. 6 would be pushing it, so we're gonna leave it at 5. And bring the wine bottles back to deposed king Winebot 5000. I really like this, by the way.
About the 45,
the
50 minute
ones-
mark is where sentences like that start to be contextually appropriate.
Yeah,
like,
right.
I bring wine back to the deposed king of France, a robot.
the once and future king by T.H. White. Right? So bringing the bottles back. the authorities have now completely closed in on the car and are now actually entering the disjointed party rail car from the one side, as Gilbert is exiting to bring the wine back to his friend and king to replenish his wine reserves, and then maybe we'll have a good chance of defeating the German maybe with some gustatorial bombardment, because please, like, don't use a hockey skill on them. That's what we found out. So anyways, we're bringing the wine bottles back to the deposed king. Authorities are on the other side, having entered the car. The noose is closing on our heroes.
Yeah, so you go running out. You see the 3 cops coming from the opposite side of the tracks, coming into the car. You quickly duck out of the car, and you run back to Winebot. And when you get there, you come around the corner of the engine, and you see that there are 2 cops just right there with their guns drawn, pointing them at Winebot. You're a couple feet away, and it's basically just this tense standoff. And they're like, "Freeze! Nobody move! We got you, commies," or something. I guess commies wasn't a thing. So it's about 40 years too early. Freeze, Frenchie.
Frenchie, yeah, sure, yeah. Whatever.
How does Winebot respond to this?
Winebot.
Brought him some wine.
What's that?
Right. Brought him some wine.
Oh, he had Winebot.
Well, you're standing there, and you're sort of like frozen because they have guns out, and you're standing right next to him. So it's sort of like, what's gonna do? Who's gonna flinch first?
Like he hasn't had a chance to internalize the wine yet.
Mm-hmm. So. Winebot is, however, moved to beyond patronly tears as he realizes that he must be the best king of France ever. This random Frenchman... Wait, no, you're actually Canadian, right?
French-Canadian,
well, yeah.
You're
French-Canadian, which is a lot worse than being, like, French.
Which I guess Winebot wouldn't know about because he's been locked in an armoire for years. Like, when was French... French Canada must have been, like, 1800-something, right? Like, when it was established? Canada?
You know what?
Well,
my history's hazy, but like, yeah, there was there was like Upper Canada and Lower Canada, and Upper Canada.
So he thinks it's just a French colony, a French colonist.
He thinks he's a French colonist. Like, oh, my people, it's good to see that our colonies of France 2.0 have survived. France 2.
Yeah, and we're in Minnesota, not Louisiana.
We're in Minnesota,
right?
But he doesn't know that. All he knows is that his people need him, and then the time has come for Winebot to rise up. All right, I really feel like this needs to be a hard pass-fail kind of thing. So, like, I'm going to be rolling... I'm going to go sprint over to my comrade, obtain the bottles of wine, chug 2 of them for power, and roll 2 dice for gustatorial bombardment to blow the ever-loving shit out of these Germans.
Okay.
All right.
Wait, the Germans or the cops?
So wait, you said there's still 3 Germans menacing us, right?
Yeah.
And then 2 police officers.
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. Winebot.
So we have antagonists on both sides.
Yeah,
Winebot is going to go for the Germans.
Okay.
That is his target, and he has a reason for this.
Oh, 2 6s.
My Christ. Winebot rolls double 6 boxcars.
On gustatorial bombardment, which means you get a 3rd level skill in that.
Oh my god. Okay.
Well, that changes things.
Yeah. Okay. Winebot, well, he doesn't get to use his level 3 power right away, does he? It sticks with the level 2. Whatever. It's gustatorial bombardment.
Well, there's nothing I can roll that's gonna stop it.
He chugs some wine, and you hear cogs whirring and grinding and engines starting up within Winebot. This horrible whining, crashing, grinding noise emanates from inside of him. And he bends over and vomits out a wine cannon of like 1,000,000 PSI that just blasts all of the German hockey players completely off the field.
It's like what is that? Like water cutting where you use the water pressure?
Yeah, like the CNC machines that use high-powered water.
Yeah. So he just like slices
like
all 3 of them in half.
Stuff. Yeah, it's like this. There's no joke about that. Like, that's some serious power.
Okay, what's my level 3 gustatorial bombardment going to be called?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, I'll just call it the sommelier strike, since we established the word sommelier but didn't use it, right?
It's some sort of
general all-purpose, like, fuck you.
He can only use when he's imbibed at least 2 full bottles of wine.
Yes, that's the requirement. So he's had the requisite wine. He uses sommelier strike to just absolutely obliterate the opposing Germans. And then once the Germans have fallen, he's going to walk over and claim one of their hockey sticks and hold it aloft over his head, turn to the police and yell out his battle cry, beep boop!
And the police... neither of the police are having any of this, and both of them are like, I don't know what that is, but I'm not, this is not me. And they both just turn and bolt.
My God.
I rolled a 4 and a 2, but having seen 3 people get cut in half, I was going to say they needed a 5 or a 6. So.
By an insane robot. Oh.
So, in any case, so Winebot has just cut some Germans in half with high-pressure wine.
High-pressure wine, as you do.
And from the sight of this, and also he hoisted one of the German players' hockey sticks over his head triumphantly, and this intimidated the approaching police officers who were going to make an arrest. So, inspired by his friend's increasingly unique and useful skills. I'm sorry.
I feel like that's the name that should be the name of the rule set, is increasingly unique and useful skills.
Seeing as we've chased off the antagonists who either meant us harm or would at least detain us for an inconvenient amount of time and interrogate us about a murder that we didn't commit. Let's be clear, we did commit some murders today.
Subsequent murders did happen.
But that warrant, right? That warrant isn't for us. So
right.
I think at this point the immediate danger is cleared, and Gilbert decides that this friendship needs to be made official and formalized. So he, after I don't know if I need to use a skill for this, infusing the remaining wine into his friend, because we've got we have 1 good bottle left, 3 good bottles. So Winebot drank 2, and then used the sommelier strike.
I would say it's incredibly easy to pour wine into Winebot, so I'm not gonna. You don't need a roll for that.
It's part of the design, right?
Yeah.
So, so anyway, so infuses his friend and king with the remaining wine, takes a knee, and so Winebot doesn't have a sword. I mean, that's normally how these things go, right?
Nobody's got those staff arms.
Yeah, they have those weird religious icon things.
Right. So so this is basically like an impromptu knighting ceremony that we're doing now, and Gilbert, swears allegiance and a blood oath to his friend and king Winebot, and I think. I don't know if there's a lot of fanfare that goes along with this. There isn't. People have dispersed from the train at this point, so there's not a whole lot in the way of spectators here. So it's kind of a quiet, private ceremony, I guess. Although it's very touching. Gilbert cries. He's just really happy that he doesn't have to have a disappointing hockey career anymore.
I'm gonna make Matt roll to see if he can get his trigger rage under control enough to show restraint when he's tapping you on the shoulder and not break any bones.
Roll 1 die for this.
Yeah.
Surprisingly enough, Winebot doesn't have any skills that relate to self-restraint.
He rolls a 6. Well, now he does.
I'm going to
call this skill
compose yourself.
Yeah, a modicum of kingly restraint.
Yeah. At level 2. Okay, so he gives a beautiful speech, and he taps you gently on the shoulder, and you feel the warmth and friendship that you've garnered by helping him out with the...
So he's not Gilbert anymore, right? He's Sir Gilbert?
Yeah.
I think we can... and we can talk about lands and titles later, I think. That can maybe be another episode. I don't know.
Gilbert the Loyal, yeah.
Right. So having successfully fled the authorities for a police chase that didn't apply to them, there might be another one real soon. But for now, Gilbert is content to, although he's got all the hockey pads and stuff. Anyways, Gilbert is happy to now be Sir Gilbert. Gonna have to develop this guy a little more, I think.
Sir Gilbert, the flannel knight of...
So renounces his hockey career and swears allegiance to Winebot, his friend and king, to become his right hand in all things. I guess that's about it for Gilbert's turn.
Okay, so you both find yourself in the outskirts of Minneapolis, Minnesota. Gilbert has been newly knighted, and
Sir Gilbert.
Sir Gilbert and Winebot / Jambot / Bloodbot is now in control.
Once again, king.
Once again, king of one person at least.
The once and then not, and then once again King Bloodbot 5000. Bloodbot bids his newly appointed knight, Sir Gilbert of the Flannel, to stand by his side as they embark upon their next most important quest, to obtain sustenance in the form of chicken and waffles. So Bloodbot is going to lead his companion onto the now completely vacated engine of the train, and they will board and continue on towards adventure.
They take the train car to go,
leaving all the people stranded on the outskirts of Minneapolis. The confused police still wandering around, being like, "What the fuck even was that thing?" Beep boop, off into the sunset.
Oh, and there we go, chicken and waffles.
I could not have thought of a more fitting end to the saga of Jambot / Winebot / Bloodbot.
Yeah. We didn't actually kill him off, but I guess that's all right.
Yeah, he's just part of the persistent derailed universe, just lurking somewhere in the time. We're gonna at some point have to like map out the timeline of like,
oh god,
because we've established that some things happen in certain ages and eras, and some things just kind of happen in isolation unto themselves. But we have also established that Derailed exists entirely within a persistent universe of sorts.
Yeah, so at some point people are going to start bumping into each other as NPCs.
Winebot randomly wanders into the scene, attempts to use Sommelier Strike, explodes in the process. Awesome, cool. Well, Grant, thank you for joining us on Derailed. It was awesome to have you. Welcome as our first guest, first guest player on the Derailed.
I'm honored to be part of the entourage of Winebot.
Thank you for listening to Derailed on the GameSign Network. If you like what you hear and you want to hear more, we can be found on SoundCloud, Stitcher, YouTube, Google Music, and iTunes. So until next time, we got GameSign. Thanks for listening. Bye.